Good morning, everyone. How we doing on this fine Monday? Welcome to our pre-market prep session. As you can see, I'm just trying to feel cozy this morning, so I'm here with the knit hat, everything going on, and yeah, happy to be here. Happy to dive into another week full of opportunities to give us the chance to close the gap between where we are now and where we want to be for your pre-market prep session and deluxe pre-market prep session, which is what we have every Monday. We're here to break down all the important economic events, data, news, analysis, all that great stuff that will be key for you succeeding in markets this week. So I'm going to also change the light pattern we've got going on, which I forgot I had set to the music. It was synced to music, so now it just bops up and down. Let's see. Maybe we'll do like a crossing. No, I don't know what I'm feeling. What the vibe is. Oh, there's a graffiti option. I think they just added this. I feel like sometimes the camera struggles with the movement. Or waterfall soothing. There's gradient movement. Not as big of a fan. Maybe I'll go with life. Waterfall is always kind of easy. Yeah, we'll go with a nice soothing waterfall this morning. Go along with all the blue that I'm wearing. But yes, Vivian, Stephanie, Andrea, Paul, Latrice, Alicia, good morning. Greetings. Happy to be here. Happy to dive into what we have going on for another week. Happy belated Veterans Day to all my veterans. And thank you for your service. Let's get into what we've got going on this week. And of course, we're going to start with what we've got happening in the week ahead. So we'll lay out kind of the groundwork for the week, right? All the expectations, all the data, all that stuff, any pitfalls, so that we can make sure that we have that nice and teed up coming into this week prepared. So the Consumer Price Index report for October will be a key event next week as investors look for direction with interest rates, especially after Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said at an International Monetary Fund conference that the Fed would not hesitate to tighten monetary policy if the data still supported a hike. While markets are pricing in less than a 20% probability of a December rate increase, a stronger than expected CPI report or hot retail sales print could reset expectations. Weighing in on the wild card, Seeking Alpha analyst Dan Victor thinks the CPI could surprise on the low side. President Biden's meeting in the middle week with China leader Xi Jinping will also be closely watched by investors in the tech sector. The earnings calendar for the week ahead includes reports from retail giants Walmart, Target, tickers are WMT, TGT, and Home Depot, ticker HD, while investor events scheduled for DraftKings, Roblox, and Guidewire software have the potential to jolt shares. So again, we're on the decline when it comes to intensity in earnings season, which is nice because we don't have to worry about things throwing wrenches in the price action. On Monday today, we have Tyson Foods and Tower Semiconductor, whose ticker is TSEM. And on Tuesday, we have Home Depot. It's really the only one that's important. TJ Maxx companies, right? So TJX, their ticker is TJX. They report on Wednesday. Target reports on Wednesday. JD.com, which is an important Chinese e-commerce giant, reports on Wednesday. We've got Walmart on Thursday and Alibaba on Thursday as well, and Macy's on Thursday. So a few names on Thursday, and then just BJ's is kind of the biggest one, BJ's Wholesale Club, that's reporting on Friday. So some known names, but nothing that's really going to move markets. It'll really just move that stock or maybe influence the sector. Let's see, in terms of events, no real important events. So let's check on what we've got happening in terms of the economic calendar this week. CPI, of course, is going to be a big one, probably the hallmark event of the week. November 13th, November 14th. Scroll down. Okay, so in terms of what we got going on this week on the economic calendar, and again, I always check this on marketwatch.com. You just want to make sure that you have a reliable economic calendar for anybody who might be speaking, any data that might get dropped. We got a Fed governor speaking at 8:50 a.m. Not really super important. Just one also, as opposed to like the whole lot of them that were on tour last week. On Tuesday, we get core CPI. So we get the CPI data on Tuesday. So tomorrow before market open. That's nice because we can get it and be done with it. I hate when stuff is on Wednesday and then we have to wait like 2 days to get the data. So we've got CPI data on Tuesday, PPI data on Wednesday. Both of those, will be probably the crux of the market's focus this week. So that's what we want to be aware of. 8:30 a.m. right for both of them. That report will come out before market open. So just understand that anything that you swing, right, will be exposed to that. We're not guaranteed a big move based off of CPI data, but we can get one. So just make sure that's factored into your expectations and according to your risk tolerance. In terms of Thursday, jobless claims data. So CPI Tuesday, PPI Wednesday, which is just inflation for like producer price index. And then Thursday, we've got initial jobless claims. So jobless claims data. We've got a few other members of the Fed that are speaking as well throughout the day on Thursday. Friday, looks like nothing really important on Friday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, those are the biggest days, and the biggest out of those three being a Tuesday. So now we've got the groundwork laid, right, for the week. We understand that anything short-term we can swing is going to be subject to the data that we get, right? It could yank us one way or the other. Now, we can kind of shift from the week ahead to just our Monday specific news. Let's go ahead and here. All right. So our top headline here for Monday, November, what is it, the 13th now? Yes, November 13th. So, top news, next steps. Following increased outreach from the Biden administration, the leaders of the world's two largest economies are set to meet this week on the sidelines of the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in San Francisco. On the agenda are issues tied to regional stability amid rising geopolitical tensions, as well as fair trade and economic relations. The last time President Biden met with Xi Jinping was the G20 summit in Indonesia a year ago, and tensions have only escalated since then with tech export controls, the Chinese spy balloon incident, and increased displays of U.S. support for Taiwan. Quote, the Chinese have basically severed those U.S.-China military communication links, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan told CNN's State of the Union. Quote, we need those lines of communication so there aren't any mistakes or miscalculations or miscommunication. President Biden would like to reestablish them, and he will look to this summit as an opportunity to try and advance the ball on that. The economic side appears to be just as big of an equation, with mixed ideas of how to structure that relationship with potential for serious repercussions. How much subsidies would be granted stateside to prop up industries like semiconductors and electric vehicles, artificial intelligence, and quantum computing? Should Trump-era tariffs still be retained to encourage reshoring or manufacturing in more hospitable countries? Or what about new trade alliances and the remapping of critical supply chains? So there's a lot that's on the slate, a lot that's on the table, and it doesn't seem like much typically comes of their talks. So, maybe this is the last meeting before things escalate even further. Who knows? But I feel like we'll be kind of waiting to see what reports come out of it. It's also like pretty much the reports are kind of already prepared for this, right? Anything I feel like of import that's talked about won't be shared with us as like normal, members of the public. But I mean, I guess it's good at least they're meeting, right? You want at least some stab at some attempt at reconciliation, because that's kind of a bad sign when you don't communicate in terms of like the military channels, because that means like, all right, I don't need to talk to you because we're not on a civil side of things. Going deeper, laying the groundwork for the San Francisco summit was Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, who met with Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng last week to strengthen communication and dialogue at all levels. Following 2 days of meetings, she had the following to say on what things might look like going forward. Quote, we do not seek to decouple our economy from China's. This would be damaging to both the U.S. and China and destabilizing to the world, but a healthy economic relationship requires American workers and firms to be treated fairly. So, yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's like we all want to be on the same team, but we need to be treated fairly. But what we see is fair and what they see is fair is two completely different things. In terms of AI news, ballooning costs. Earlier this year, Microsoft invested in OpenAI to the reported tune of $10 billion, but the latter is seeking even more cash from the tech giant as it looks to create sophisticated models of artificial intelligence. As if ChatGPT is not the most sophisticated innovation we've seen in the past 20 years. Quote, training expenses are just huge, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman declared. You have this research lab, you have this API, you have the partnership with Microsoft, you have this ChatGPT thing. Now there's a GPT store, but those aren't really our products. Those are channels into our single product, which is intelligence, magic intelligence in the sky. Artificial intelligence is seen as a catalyst that recently catapulted Microsoft shares to all-time highs, as well as the company's recent quarterly results. So, Microsoft might be pouring even more money into OpenAI, which is something I think we've discussed because they've got even more going on, right? And I mean, that GPT store that they have happening is an absolute revolutionary thing for business owners, which I'm super excited about. But yeah, I mean, it's expensive, and like they said, they don't really sell anything, so they're I mean they have GPT-4, and you can be like a platinum or premium type member, so that you can use it more often because sometimes ChatGPT is like really overused, and you've got some perks with it. So it's not like they're going out and they're selling a product yet, right? I'm sure that if you get an advanced enough artificial intelligence, they could probably make as much money as they wanted to make. In terms of economic news, Credit Watch citing heavier downside risks to the country's fiscal strength. Moody's late on Friday dropped its credit rating outlook on the United States to negative from stable. Not positive news, right? The sharp rise in Treasury bond yields this year has increased pre-existing pressure on U.S. debt affordability. In the absence of policy action, Moody's expects the United States debt affordability to decline further, steadily, and significantly to very weak levels compared to other highly rated sovereigns. That's a quote, by the way. Deputy Treasury Secretary Wally Adeyemo disagreed with that stance ahead of another potential government shutdown at the end of this week. We're right back in that spot. Quote, the American economy remains strong and Treasury secretaries are the world's preeminent safe and liquid asset, he said in a statement mailed to media outlets. So Moody's, late on Friday dropped the credit rating outlook on the United States. Not a great look, right? Definitely a negative thing. That's something that can impact how we move today, but you just want to see if it matters to investors, right? That's the big thing, is that you have a number of different factors that could impact the market, could impact how we move, that investors could care about. But what you want to see is what really manifests in the form of price action, right? What do we get that actually happens as a result of whatever data might come out? In terms of energy news, oil reassessment, it was only about a month ago that many analysts predicted triple-digit oil prices, but many of those forecasts have changed in recent weeks, with WTI crude now trading under $80 a barrel. Demand worries were raised last week as Chinese refiners asked for less supply for December, which helped counteract the fear of production outages related to war in the Middle East. However, some maintain that analysts are still not looking in the right places and need to reevaluate the supply side of the equation. Quote, smugglers, dark fleet operators, thieves, and black market dealers are working overtime, washing and gushing oil produced or stolen from Russia, Iran, Kurdistan, and Nigeria, noted Manish Raj, managing director at Velandera Energy Partners. Yeah, I noticed that yesterday, picking my parents up from the airport. My dad was like, hey, gas right here is like really, in the area we were going through, gas here is really cheap. And I was like, oh, I guess it has been going down now that you think about it. Because in my head, gas was still elevated, right? I'm still thinking every time I go to the pump, they're going to be charging me an arm and a leg. But gas prices have stabilized a bit. Oil can be one of those things, though, where, again, especially when there's war going on, any little existential threat could, like, send prices back up. So it's kind of like fingers crossed. That oil stays this low. In terms of energy companies, I feel like we've checked in on energy too recently, but that could be something that we take a peek at today. In terms of today's markets, in Asia, Japan were flat, Hong Kong were up 1.6%, China were up 0.3%, India were down 0.5%. The FTSE in London down 0.7%, Paris down 0.6%, Frankfurt up 0.4%. Dow flat, S&P down 0.2%, NASDAQ down 0.2%, crude oil up 0.3%, gold up 0.3%, and then Bitcoin down 0.4%, just underneath 37K. What else is happening? We'll finish up here with a little rapid fire stock news rundown before we go over there and dive into the trading group and look for these opportunities today to bring home the bacon heading into the holiday season, right? If anything, this is like one of the most amazing times to be able to work things in markets because the holidays are typically pretty expensive. You have Christmas coming up, all those things coming up. It's nice to be able to go and every day hop into a group where you are actively exploring and utilizing, taking advantage of money making opportunities because a lot of people are stretched thin right now and you've got to make sure you can do what you can to make sure that your money's working for you, right? So the market, especially during this time, right, is just something where it ends up being such a blessing being able to make that happen and make that work. So in terms of what else is happening here, U.S. banking system less vulnerable than pre-2008 GFC. The New York Fed said that. I think it's weird they say that. And last week we got like information on two more banks that are being permanently shut down. So it's kind of like the banking system is less vulnerable than in 2008, but we've still got banks that are literally shuttering their doors. This company topped Tesla to become the most shorted S&P 500 stock. New weight loss drug, Eli Lilly, expected to add 4.1 billion in U.S. sales. Still killing the game, the Michael Jordan of pharma. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott abruptly ends 2024 presidential bid. Air Force said to begin test flights of Northrop's B-21 bomber. That's ticker NOC. UBS sees pickup in mergers and acquisitions next year. Yeah, probably. They probably don't expect, maybe they don't expect Biden to get reelected. And as a result, they see more mergers and acquisitions going through. Under this administration, it's been a lot tougher for these big deals to get done. A lot of them haven't been getting done. But if he's not in the White House, then more deals will get done. So maybe that says something about UBS's outlook on the presidential election. I have no idea. That was all, again, just conjecture and hearsay, but it's not too far of a mental hop, skip, and a jump to put those things together. In terms of other headlines, Nike and Target lead retailers amid biggest Q3 decliners. How to monetize. Apple is working on generative AI. Who isn't? Wynn Resorts, ticker WYNN, inks labor deal with Las Vegas culinary workers. And then foreign investor appetite for U.S. debt could abate when Fed starts easing. So that'll do it for us today. First day of the week. I'm excited to dive into a new week, right? We're getting into November. Got my dad's birthday this week, the man who brought me into this world. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful to be here as we go into another holiday season. Make sure that you check on, just on a random note, check in on your loved ones, right? Check in on the people in your life. The holiday season can be annoying. It can be tough, for some people. Not everybody has family to lean on. So just make sure you show extra love during this holiday season. And yeah, it's winter season. It's cozy season. As you can see, I'm also the type that will sit around in full outfits. Like I'll get home from church, get home from being out somewhere, and people are like, "Oh, don't you want to get comfortable?" Like I feel comfortable when I'm like looking good, feeling cozy. So yeah, just to explain, they're like, Adam, you're dressed like you're gonna be out Christmas shopping right now. Trying to get in the mood, trying to get in the feelings, but it is getting a little hot. Might have to lose the hat. Anyways, I can sit here and chat to you guys forever. Much love. Let's have another great week that we attack, we remain patient, but we execute when necessary. Make sure you're back here tomorrow morning as we go through it all again. I'll see you then for our next pre-market prep session. Have a good one.